Hello, Internet, and welcome back to Survivors Complex. We were on a bit of a hiatus over the past few weeks, but as you can see, new location. We have gotten moved into our new place and are ready and raring to go. But thank you for bearing with us on this break. As you can see, we're still a few members down. We will hopefully be getting our resident monk back next week. And as always, Sarah, we miss you, and we will hopefully see you soon. But we will tarry on with the three of us and see what shenanigans we can get into. So just a couple of announcements before we get started. Over the past few weeks, we've had a number of streams that have taken place. We had 2 weeks ago, in replace of Survivors Complex, an Alien Isolation stream that was a lot of fun to watch. That is up on our YouTube channel if you want to check that out, hosted by our very own Dylan.
Close enough.
I can never get it right. Yeah. But that was a lot of fun. That is all up in its entirety, including extra extended cut footage, only up there for YouTube that you can check out. I'm lying on that, but the whole thing is up there on YouTube.
Yeah, hopefully I'll be able to continue that stream soon.
Yeah, we are all waiting with bated breath. That sounded more sarcastic than I meant for it to, but yeah. But we're really hoping we can see more of that. Otherwise, we have episodes of Wild Space, which there will be a new session of, or another session of, on Monday at 8 o'clock Eastern time. So come check that out. We also will. We did not have an episode of Tidefall this last Thursday. We will have another one in 2 weeks. Some life changes for our DM in that game too. So we will be getting all that sorted out, and she'll be streaming from a new locale too as well. And I think that's it as far as announcements go. Yeah. So let's do a bit of a recap so we can remind, because who here remembers what happened the last time we played? The last few sessions are in this most recent arc of Survivors Complex. Your crew has been spirited away to the Twilight Realms, the realms of the elves, of fae, of magic and wonder and just insanity. You found yourselves captured by a coven of hags seeking vengeance, and found yourselves within the shadowed desolation and a prisoner of the Queen of Witches. You're able to escape, made your way to the city of Bjornheim, where you befriended the Bear King in a wrestling match. You concocted a plan to overthrow the Queen of Witches and the Queen of Night and Magic, who each reign over these lands in tyranny, each seeking to overthrow the other. You sought, or are seeking, to craft weapons that are capable of actually killing these immortal beings, these fae queens, made of cold iron. You gained the knowledge that you needed to craft these items in the form of a spectral guide, which now possesses, in a loose use of that term, your resident gunslinger smith, Sadel. And then with the help of Star's father, Ice, made your way to the Lion's Den, a home or a training grounds for the Tabaxi militia that guard their fae lords and ladies. You were able to defeat or avoid the creatures within the Lion's Den that guarded this rare mineral, and gathered quite a bit of it, 10 long swords worth, if I'm not mistaken, because we don't have a unit of measurement, because I know absolutely next to nothing about forging or smithing. The next task on your to-do list was to make your way to Obhain, the shining, the glistening city at the edge of Dreamer's Sea, lorded over by the King of the Rivers, or the Lord of the Rivers. You met this wishy-washy individual and gained his favor through honorable combat, in which you were able to defeat him, prove yourselves to this individual through your words and actions, and were given a key to the long locked away forge of the precursors, where you could take the cold iron that you had created or had gathered and craft it into the weapons you could use to kill and overthrow these Fae. And we left off the last session, the three of you, along with Tova and the somehow restored Lilibet, as you had gone to meet Ice and the newly emerged Rishkar Aldrich, an elven thief you had previously met in your travels, only to realize they did not arrive as they intended to, or as they had promised to, and had in fact managed to steal or pickpocket the portable hole that contained all the ore you had gathered, as well as the key to this mine, or this forge. And you had been left with a note to Star, directed towards Star, indicating that Ice was sorry, but would need to finish this battle himself.
Daddy, why'd you leave me again?
He's gonna be sorry.
Yeah, perhaps. And that's where we left off our session. So we pick back up on that hilltop in the perpetual twilight. As you stand there gathering your thoughts and determining what to do, I believe your last conversation had been essentially, let's go get them and begin your way towards where the forge is located at the edge of Ard Kostheim, which is the, as you've been told a few times now, the home of the giant kin. That's where they're fealty to the Queen of Witches. And is there anything you'd like to do during your travels as you are bumping down a dilapidated road, cutting through the tall or the impossibly tall trees that surround you through the Feywild? You have a few days travel ahead of you to get there and hopefully catch up with Daddy Dearest and Uncle Rishkar. I don't know. I don't know the relationship. Anything you like to do?
I can't remember her name, but if possible, I would like to have Ghost Friend carry on teaching me Sylvan.
Oh yeah. Okay. So I think when we last left off with your kind of tutoring or tutelage, you were pretty much on the edge of learning. So I'm going to say in the next couple days of travel, I will finally give you your long-awaited proficiency in the Sylvan language.
Yay!
So maybe there's a word here and there that you have to pick up, or maybe have somebody reference you, or you get something wrong. But I'd say for the most part, you have a full proficiency, working proficiency in the language. So congratulations. Anybody else? Anything you wanted to do during this time? Okay. So for the most part, your travel's fairly uneventful. I'd say when you're resting, I mean, it's mostly abandoned here, unless you guys wanted to cut to Bjornheim and spend a day there and then cut over to Ard Kostheim. You're pretty much going through untamed wilderness. Every so often you might see or catch a glimpse of something fluttering or cutting off into the darkness around you, but it seems for the most part that most things avoid you here. There's a large sense of distrust towards strange creatures in the area. But I'd say on your second day of travel, as you are wandering through this wilderness, you awake, and Lilibet is putting on her armor, and she has a big smile on her face and kind of tucking her belongings away. And she takes one of the flasks of wine that I assume she probably always keeps on her. And she gives a healthy chug as her morning ritual. And after she does, she lets out just a massive belch. Almost shakes the trees around you. As this happens, there is this almost sparkle in the air in front of her. This like glistening material, and it in the strange coloration or coloring that's exuded by the frost iron ore that you guys had taken, the same ore that she had consumed in her frog form. And as she does this, she kind of hiccups a bit, and you hear her say, I don't feel so good. And Tova walks over to her and puts a hand on her shoulder and says, are you all right, Lilibet? And then suddenly there's a this popping noise and this sucking sound and a flash and a burst of energy. And you watch as Lilibet has shrunk back down into Totobet form. And so has Tova. As now sitting next to Lilibet is a tiny Toda? We go with Toda. Small little brownish or slightly bigger brownish toad.
I hate this place.
And you see Gil that's in your pocket and was like waking up too, just holds his hands up as if I didn't do it.
Oh no.
Let's just get this over with. I want to go home.
This is totally terrible.
Yep. So you pick up I forgot what we were calling it. So it's Toda
Totobet.
and Totobet. Okay. Gotcha. So you
we've missed a lot of Lil-pad jokes.
Lilipad, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I just realized that would have been way better.
You guys were focusing too much on the bears.
Well, those were some very good puns.
Oh my god. We're never going back. As you crest a nearby ridge, you look over and see the ruins of the city of Bjornheim that is burned to the ground. Not a bear survived this day.
No!
So you have that. Everyone who misses the session gets
This
turned
is
into
an
a toad.
unbearable tragedy.
And the next 2 days pass as you're making your way through this countryside. Again, without too much to do or any sort of detriment to you. And on the dawn of the third day, as you all have woken and begun your travels, you reach a point where the tall trees around you are beginning to give way, and it's turning into the terrain around you is getting a little bit more sloped, gradually cresting upwards. You can see off to what would be the east of you, the shadowed desolation growing closer and closer, the bleak and dark landscape seeming to oppressively kind of push towards you, and the sky around you, that vibrant, colorful sky is giving way a bit to more muted grays and darker colors. However, you also begin to notice around you I think you come between a few hills as you're winding through a valley, and you begin to notice tall or trees that have been cut down. You see the stumps where trees have been sundered, the jagged, like they have been chopped down, as most of you probably be aware of. And you can see the drag marks, the grooves in the ground where these massive trees have been pulled, or the remains of them have been pulled through the forest in the direction that you're heading. And you also begin to notice indentations in the ground, which you quickly begin to realize are massive footprints. A lot of activity through here, and you could make the reasonable assumption giant activity. Assuming you press on and continue moving forward in the direction that you've been directed, I think Star and Den, you both notice a kind of an unpleasant smell as you're cutting through this area, and you realize, as you almost miss it, the smells seeming to be exuding from a large sort of mound to the right of you, and it looks to be something covered by a number of like it's a pile of branches and leaves and debris from the undergrowth of the forest that have been piled over something very, very large.
Ew.
Do you go to examine it, or just...
What do you think that is?
I don't know, but it might give us a hint of everything we're up against here. I mean, we did fight one giant on Growldog, but more knowledge on the creatures could be helpful.
What if it's like something's poop?
It's a little big for that.
I don't know.
Okay, fair enough.
I've seen Jurassic Park.
Okay, it's bigger than it's bigger than Dino Dung.
Wow. I don't know.
I'd say with your past perception, so we can kind of cut through that a bit.
Probably.
You do notice that from one of the piles, you see what looks like kind of poking out a bit of like a massive finger.
I mean, would inspecting the body, would anything come of it?
I don't know. You're the science guy.
Bill.
Bill, the science guy.
I'm a scientist, damn it, not a mortician.
If anything, it'll tell us what killed them.
Yeah.
We could take a look.
Okay. So you spend the next couple of minutes pulling the debris off, and you do realize this is the corpse. Fairly fresh, maybe a couple of days, of a giant with gray pallor to their skin, a bald head, very long features and limbs, very clearly dead.
Could I... has it been stabbed? Maybe bludgeoning, bruising, bleeding?
It's gonna be pretty obvious, but go to make an investigation check and you can get some more details on the body.
Cool. 19.
19. All right. With a 19, I think you see there are stab marks on this body. There's some burn marks where it appears they've been hit by some sort of, you would guess, probably magical energy. Probably half a dozen of marks like that. And you notice some stab marks near their legs, kind of around the knee area, across the back of their ankles. Smaller blades, humanoid-sized blades. and there is telltale signs of one last kind of killing blow, you guess, towards the base of the neck, where a blade has been stabbed into just around between the vertebra there. And you can see a discoloration indicating potential poison in the blade.
Mm-hmm. So I could probably guess a group of our sized people.
Yeah. You would guess, based on most of the weapon marks, you see two different sizes of weapons. Again, with the 19, you get two different sizes to blades. So at least two different weapons or two different types of weapons used. Mm. So at least two attackers, based on what you're looking at.
Okay. And how far are we out from
Ardcostrum?
From Ardcostrum.
I don't think you're sure at this point. You're pretty close, but I don't think any of you are. None of you are familiar with this area, so you don't know for sure. Actually, you have Arnaran with you. She would tell you you're probably only a mile or two away.
Oh, okay. And am I familiar with how giants? Am I familiar with their culture at all? How they would bury their dead or just sort of dispose of the body?
That's interesting. Make a history check.
Because I'm thinking, why cover up the body if you're the one guilty of killing the giant? How about a 5?
5. The history of giants and giant kin, I don't think is your forte. Yeah, it's hard to tell with your investigation. This body could have been covered by human-sized individuals, but yeah, you're not sure about the burial rates of giants.
Okay. Then, and for the sake of brevity, I pass on that information to.
Sure. Okay.
Star.
You guys are all aware of that as well.
I think we've got a pretty clear idea of who was here.
This is fresh. It means we're close.
That's good.
All right. So continuing towards the city.
Yep.
All right. Well, I had 2 questions for you. So, one, are you guys still taking the wagon? Are you ditching the wagon at any point?
I guess we don't really need it.
That is fair.
Do we?
No.
Not really.
But could it come in handy in the future?
I was thinking about hauling weapons, but if we've got 10 longswords worth, if we end up somehow making those, they'll fit in the bag, right?
We do have a bag of holding.
I'm gonna put Star's dad in there. We find him. Just gonna carry him around. I'm so mad.
I think we all are.
I have a singular anger
Daddy, why?
directed at this person that doesn't exist.
We could take it close to the city and ditch it. We could hide it. I mean,
Well,
there's a giant pile of giant that we could hide it behind. If we're only about a mile out.
yeah, I mean, I guess if we don't want to just like completely ditch it, we could come back for it if we needed it.
There are 2 horses attached to it too.
We've left them before. They were fine.
Yeah. No, I'm saying as far as like ditching the wagon, just keeping that in mind.
Yeah.
They're living animals.
We shouldn't murder
and-
more
or-
horses.
Or if we want to, just ditch the wagon, bring the horses to the city. We would have to tandem ride, but
Also, don't forget Didar.
well, we wouldn't have to tandem ride.
Yeah, I guess we could take the horses. We leave the wagon here, and if we need to come back for it,
Well, I guess technically anything I am tandem riding with.
With Arnoran.
You know, being possessed by Arnoran and all.
She chuckles in your head at that.
I also chuckle in my head. And this is the slow decay of Saddle's insanity.
It's just like that Patrick Swayze movie.
Ghost?
Yes.
Ghost?
Yes. That one. You know, the one with the ghost. I think, okay. So we leave the wagon.
Which one of, does that make you Whoopi Goldberg?
I think so.
Maybe. So we leave the wagon behind the giant. And they are taking the horses? Okay.
Yeah, might as well.
So me and Star will ride horses, I guess. Unless you want to walk, you're probably faster than a horse.
Well, I mean, we're gonna have to wait on Didar anyway, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'll alternate like riding and walking because I'm roll heavy at this point.
Fair.
Unless this is like the really big horses from the Budweiser commercials.
Oh, like Clydesdale?
A Clydesdale.
Yeah, a draft.
Great, like.
They
Is
are
that why they're
draft
called
horses.
draft horses? Because they're in beer commercials.
I don't actually know.
I don't know, but they are draft horses, not riding horses. But they're still horses, so you can get around pretty quickly on them. So you take the horses. Cutting through this because I didn't mean for this to be the question of the night. You take your horses and leave the wagon behind, obscuring it in some underbrush or something to get it out of the way. Not hard to do. So you ride up the ridge, and now being able a little bit faster and less cumbersome and making a lot of noise, you approach a point where Arnoran directs you to kind of get off the path a bit, and you, from atop a hill as you crest the pinnacle of it, you can see the city of Ardcrostrum, or the community. To the west of you or east of you, and it is large, not just in scale but in sheer land mass. It's miles and miles of these long houses and cleared for deforested area, and there are two clashing terrains here. To the east of the city, or sorry, the west of the city. No, I was right the first time. East. Directions are just, I'm lost today. It's gray stone that gives way to the gray wastes and the shadow desolation beyond. It's bleak, craggy, with jutting rocks piercing out from the ground, and the buildings there that you can see. And there aren't many buildings actually constructed here. You see a lot of caves that push in, but the ones that you do see are constructed of stone, just piled on top of each other, stone and mortar. And that comes straight up to and clashes with a line of ice that forms, as there is this bleak white landscape that fills probably a good 5-mile radius. At the center of this valley, again, the same rock formations jutting out from it, but each one coated in ice and frost. And there is this howling sort of wind that cuts through the valley there. And you see buildings built of wood with also coated in frost and snow, plumes of black smoke coming out from chimney stacks on top of the buildings. And above this city is a broiling, covering its entirety is a roiling storm cloud, purplish and discolored looking, crackling with electricity that seems to just be perpetually looming over this giant city. And I think it's there that Arnaran points in your mind, Sadel, and draws your attention, sort of guiding your eyes to the snow and ice-covered portion of the city to the south, where you see a collection of jagged ice shards and spikes that are jutting up from the ground and sort of forming a sort of a pyramid almost. And she points there and she says, that is where that's where the forge should be, and that's where it was locked away.
I point this out to Star and Dan. Do we want to head straight there or into the city first?
Is this a city that's going to welcome us?
With our luck, probably not.
If I was a betting woman.
If I was a betting man.
Honoran, I think, phases out of Sadel a bit to join the conversation. And she says, from what I remember, the knowledge that I have, the giant kin here have allied themselves with Natasha.
Which
Whether
one
they
is that? Which one is that? I don't remember.
Queen of Witches.
Queen of Witches.
Great, thanks.
Whether they would be outright hostile towards you, I don't know. But that might indicate or sway how you approach. I'm sure she is watching this place.
Do we have any real reason to go into the city?
I don't. I just know sometimes we like to gather supplies, and I didn't know if either of you wanted to hit up a shop or something.
Let me look. I look at my backpack to see what I have, because it's been 2 weeks and I forget what game we're playing.
Is this the game with the vampires or the game with the giants?
Is this Dragon Age? I don't think there's anything I need. Unless you... Well, we got some potions last time.
Yeah, I think we each have a greater healing potion.
And, yeah. And I got the diamonds I wanted, so I'm pretty set.
Cool.
Okay. So, based on your perspective here, the forge, or the location of the forge, is within the city, but near the southern edge of it. And there isn't like a wall that surrounds the city. I use the term city loosely. It's more of a community that has just built themselves into this valley. So you will have to either avoid or engage with some giants probably to get to where you're going. So how is it that you'd like to proceed in that?
Okay, I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say how I would like to proceed is not how you guys would probably like to proceed. So I will...
If I was a betting man...
defer.
Well, we can always do a sort of tiered, if we want, start a sneak up and then, or you make a loud entrance and then Star is sneaky so they think it's just one of you, and I hang back and do some shooting if we need it. I don't know. Or we can all just walk in. That seems to work out for us.
Yeah, I mean, we could try to sneak by, but no promises from this side.
If we try and sneak in, we all stay together at least, which will hopefully give us more of an as if something goes horribly when something goes horribly wrong.
Yeah. I guess when it goes terribly, I could just make more noise and then they'll all look at me. That's usually what happens. We don't really have to plan that far.
Yeah, better to at least try and be together when something goes wrong.
Alright.
So negative.
We're just a group of
I
realists.
like to think we're realists.
True.
I like to think our
We've done this
experience.
before.
I like to think our experience.
On that note as well, I'm also going to cast invisibility on Dan.
I don't want to use that spell slot. Never mind. Or do I?
It's up to you.
If I cast Enhance Ability, I'm going to say this out loud. If I cast Enhance Ability on myself, I can have advantage on a stealth check for the first time in my life.
Do it. Make me proud.
I'm going to do it. This is so important. This is too important not to do it. I have a lot of spell slots. I'm going to cast Enhance Ability on myself and give myself Cat's Grace.
Okay.
Now I have advantage
Advantage.
on a stealth check. What universe is this?
All right, so you guys are taking the stealthy option to head into the city. So as you approach, I assume probably ditching the horses just near the outskirts of the city. Stealthing on the draft horses would probably be a little difficult. But you hide them somewhere where they're not going to get eaten by giants. And go ahead. I couldn't tell if Dylan was doing a fake laugh or he's coughing for a second. You all right, buddy?
Oh, he's dying.
Okay. It just for a second there, it looked like he was sitting there doing like the fake kind of like laughing about something.
I died for a second. Sorry.
Okay. Glad you're okay. Walk it off. You. I need everyone to make stealth checks.
27.
20.
20?
Nice.
I rolled a 16 and an 18.
All right. A racing giant encounter.
It's impossible for me to roll that low on stealth, by the way.
I'm pretty sure
Oh,
that's
shit,
like
yeah,
some
you've
of the
got
highest
the-
I can roll.
Yeah. What's the lowest you can roll on a stealth check now? Is it even worth me asking if you make a stealth check anymore?
The lowest I can get on a stealth check is technically 23.
Okay, so 23 is your passive stealth now. All right, so we're... I'll let you know if you ever have to make a stealth check again.
Let the boy roll.
No, you can roll. It's fun. But unnecessary. You reached
Does that mean I don't have to roll for an attack now?
No, you still got to roll. Wait for those 3 nat ones. But you also have to roll for Dedar.
You're right, I do.
Oh, I should have cast it on
Unless-
him instead.
Unless there's anything you want to do about Dedar to maybe make this easier. I don't know if you're going to have lumber through, you're going to shrink him again or something.
I could. Or do we just want to risk it for the biscuit? Would shrinking him do anything?
I would say with shrinking him, he could use your stealth.
It's a pretty important biscuit.
Because
Yeah.
you can carry him.
Oh, okay, well then I'll use enlarge reduce. I'll reduce him.
Yeah.
How small does he get when you
Because
reduce
didn't we ruled it last time that you were able to shrink him to the point of being able to carry him, I believe.
Yes.
I'm pretty
You
sure
said-
we put him in the bag because he doesn't breathe. Does he breathe?
No, he does not breathe.
Because he's normally a large creature and it shrinks him down to a medium-sized creature.
Correct.
Okay. And I think we were gathering he's about 10 foot, so 5 by 5.
Yeah,
foot.
well,
So,
it's the target size is halved in all dimensions, and its weight is reduced to an eighth of the normal.
an 8. Yeah, and I think the 8th is really what got me. Yeah, I think he's still heavy.
Yeah,
But
he's still heavy, but I can carry him.
you can carry him, and Den can help. And the two of you with your 20s, I think you're good. So what we will do is you will you all gather yourselves and you reach the edge of the city, kind of remaining in the underbrush, and you see as 20-foot tall figure comes lumbering by, draped in grayish and white furs, bluish skin with a big white beard. This frost giantkin comes stomping near the edge of the perimeter, not really looking for anyone actively, and comes past you. You all wait for this individual to move past and then go rushing in between the buildings, and darting from building to building and cover to cover. You make your way closer and closer to this ice ridge in the center of the city, or iceberg almost. And there is one point where you stop and you all freeze as you hear this growling coming from around the corner. And you see another giant, frost giant woman, long white hair, kind of dreaded near the edge, and then bound with iron clamps near the edge of her dreads. Is pulling forward by a collar a massive white wolf with gleaming white eyes, pretty much the size of, if you remember, maybe slightly smaller, of your wolf friend Sif that you met before. And you watch as it pulls the wolf past, and the wolf kind of makes its head turns kind of in the direction of your group. You all duck down out of sight, and as the wolf might begin to pull itself towards you, you hear the woman pull on the chain collar that's surrounding it and yell, and it kind of yanks the wolf by the collar, and the wolf kind of lets out a small whine and then follows behind, still trying to pull towards you, but doing its master's bidding. You then dart behind the wolf and its owner, and continue making your way towards the iceberg. And as you approach the iceberg, you reach a point where the buildings kind of give away, and it doesn't seem like they built any structures anywhere near it. And you also begin to realize the enormity of this structure. This tall block of jagged solid ice stands maybe 70 feet tall in the center of this city, and probably encompasses a 100 or 200 foot width. And it is just that, a big solid chunk of whitish blue ice. And as you circle the exterior of it, you do notice where there is one section of the ice, a chunk of it that is cracked. The ice is fractured, and there are chunks of it lying on the ground, and you can faintly make out a glow that surrounds this crack, forming almost about 20 foot tall by 15 foot wide entryway into this fissure.
Well, I think we found the door, but now we need to work out how we're going to get in.
It's open.
Oh, it's fully open. Sorry, I missed
Yeah. You gather the key has been used, and they've made their way into the forge already.
They gotta get a move on.
Once we're in, we probably don't need to keep up with the hiding. I just move as quickly as we can to try and get to the center of this thing.
Star, does your dad even have the ability to do this?
We never told him how we got the knowledge to make the iron. As far as he's aware, there's probably a bit of paper in the bag or something. Just with, I don't know, written instructions. I don't know what else I could have found out, though.
I'm just curious if he told you anything. As far as we know, he doesn't know.
as far as I'm aware.
Alright. Well, that's good. It'll slow him down.
I take the invisibility off Den, and in we go.
Okay.
I imagine that I walked up beside him. It was like, start. He was like, oh shit. Ha!
Yeah, actually, with your stealth, you
You
would have beat
did
his
manage to roll
passive.
above my passive, yeah.
Oh
Yes.
wait, can we go back in time and I scare him?
Sure, we can say that conversation
I
started
get right
off.
up. I get right up next to him and I go, stop.
And so the hairs on the back of his neck stand up for a bit.
It's been 30 seconds, so I forgot I was invisible.
Yeah. It's all it takes. So you head in through this fissure. And as the fissure cuts through this ice, it is cutting through solid ice, 10, 20, 30 feet ahead. And then you begin to see through this pure crystal that is forming around you. You can see this sort of haunting impression of the objects that are encased in this block of ice. You see the remnants of walls, the corner of a building that once stood in this place or near the outskirts of it when this barrier went up. And at the center of it, in the direction you're going, you see a impressive entryway to a structure which seems to slope downwards. There are a set of gates. One gate is broken slightly and is halfway suspended and animate in the air or in the ice itself. The other one stands closed, and across its face you see the engravings of a language that does anyone speak Celestial? No. I'd say those of you with higher actually, I'd say all three of you. Den with your religious knowledge, the two of you with the two others of you with your intelligence might be recognized Celestial as the language. You've seen it before. You don't know how to read it, but you might recognize it. I'll leave that as your character choice, Savannah, if you want to say that Den can recognize that might be Celestial, but you're unable to read the language as you're approaching.
I don't think she knows it's celestial.
Okay.
I think that's like, I saw that in Holy Book once.
Yeah.
But I don't have those.
You see the gates to some sort of structure, the forge itself, suspended in time and in this ice ahead of you, this bronze gate with celestial engravings across the one side of the gate that still remains, suspended ahead of you. The fissure itself seems to be leading through the opening of the other gate. And yes, you look like you're about to say something.
I was, but it was an in-character question.
Go for it.
Stop. I whisper.
Mm-hmm.
You don't think your dad would have, like, set traps or anything to stop us, do you?
It's possible. He knows what we're capable of.
Just maybe keep an eye out.
I will. So as we wander through, I can keep my eye out for traps.
Okay. I'll let you make an active perception check then.
That isn't great.
Is it below
14.
your? Okay, so we'll go with your passive going forward then. Okay, so which I believe is 18, and I don't know what that else is off the top of my head.
11.
Wait, I think mine's 19.
Is
Mine's
it
19, yeah.
Oh, did you? Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
you
we're
both
19.
19 now? Okay. I forgot you guys, your proficiency bonuses went up.
Mine's 11.
11. All right. Just looking at the pretty ice. And it is, again, this interior, it's quiet with that slow kind of whistling of the wind passing by the entranceway to the fissure. and that distorted light coming in from outside, giving this prismatic, almost multicolored view to everything that is suspended in this ice crystal, this ice shard. Is beautiful and serene. And then you pass through the gate, and the ice is gone. You see the wall or the sheet of it behind you where it ends, right at the entry to this forge. And you stand in the forge itself. Cue music change. No, we're not fighting anything right now.
Yes, no, do that one.
No, that's a little too much right now. Hold on. And there we go. You enter into the forge, or at least this entry hall. And there is a massive chamber ahead of you, 60 feet across, 70 feet up, 80 feet up, forming sort of a rectangular entryway, and a slightly sloping downward grand hall that extends forward ahead of you, steps every few feet on a series of platforms leading down further into the underground or the undercroft, wherever this forge lies. Engravings and statuary line the walls, but the central focus of this structure, this grand hall, is every 20 feet on every pedestal leading downwards, you see two massive statues that are standing on either side of this this hallway, or this walkway that leads down into the bowels of this structure. The statues are odd, though. Constructed of metal, doesn't look rusted, mostly untouched and untarnished by time and its preservation within this place. But the statues are out of sync. Each one has a different pose to it, which seems random and obscure. Arms tilted up, one down, one holding a sword, another one a shield towards the ground, and they are out of sorts, and they are all in a different pose right now on either side of the room, all leading down. And again, it's disjointed, not natural poses, or like they were carved this way, but like an arm would have been turned 180 degrees backwards, a head tilted slightly to the side. It's jarring as you walk in. And on every platform, in the center of every platform, there is an inscription on the ground.
Go up and read one of the inscriptions.
Okay. When you say going up, how close are you getting?
The furthest distance I can be away while still being able to read it clearly.
Okay. It's written pretty large. You're getting close enough, and you can see this first one on the ground. You see an inscription that reads, or the roughest translation, and it's runic Sylvan, and I think you're able to put together the word warrior. And you look beyond that one, and you see the word guardian. The one beyond that, as far as you can see, looks like it says priest. And the one beyond that, it's hard to make out, but you're fairly certain it's the word crown or king or monarch or something along those lines.
So, first thing I want to do is just take another look at all the statues and look one that's in a pose where it looks as if it's got a sword that's raised, or it's about to swing a sword or other kind of weapon.
Okay. So you go ahead and make an investigation check.
That is 20 total.
20 total. Okay. I think you notice a couple things about the statues. They're constructed of metal. They have joints. The arms and the appendage of the statue can be moved. Each joint has a separate sort of hinge to it. And you gather the idea that with enough force behind it, you could position these statues in different ways. And the statues are different. The ones that are closest to you seem to be holding swords upon them in different sort of positions, sword and shield. The ones next to them also have sword and shield, and the two beyond that seem to be without weapons. But otherwise, so essentially you have two pairs that are the same, and another two pairs that are the same.
Okay, so in order, these are the inscriptions say warrior, guardian, priest, then either king or crown to signify royalty, I guess. If we can move these statues, perhaps we can pose them to look as these descriptors are saying.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
They're 4 statues? They're
4
pairs of statues.
4 pairs of statues.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And again, the ones that are closest to you, the 2 pairs that are closest to you appear to be brandishing weaponry, again, in weird, disjointed ways, and the other 2 do not appear to have any sort of weaponry.
All right. I guess. You want to make them match the words?
It's the first thing I can think of trying.
Okay.
All
They're
right.
not gonna like come alive and hit me, are they?
I have no idea.
So, you guys want to try positioning or moving the statues?
I'll try. You guys stand over there.
Well,
I'm
let
gonna-
the tank deal with this.
I'm gonna go up to one of them.
Okay. You go up to this one, and there are 2 hurdles that you can see here. One is going to take some force to move this, and 2, you're going to have to figure out a way to get up to the higher limbs to move the statues a bit.
I fly.
Okay, that's what I wanted to make sure.
Okay, I activate my ring. I start flying.
Okay, so you activate your ring. You fly up and you begin to sort of move the statues around. So between the 3 of you, I'm not going to really make you make a check to get this part of the clue. So these first 2 sets of statues, you could position in a couple of ways, but there are 2 ways I think that the joints can lock up that make sense. The first way that Den's able to get the joints to move is having the arms sort of extended and having the swords like crossing. The other way is to have sort of shields raised and kind of into a defensive position.
Imagine this is like mom and dad hanging a mirror where I'm like moving stuff and they're like, no, the right side's too high.
I say go with the swords crossing.
Okay.
Seems more warrior to me. And then maybe shields to shields would be guardian.
That kind of makes sense. Alright. Do swords up.
Okay. You move these statues and position them in a way to cross the swords. And you do, and they're sort of as the metal slips into place. Do you proceed forward to the next set of statues to try to move those?
There wasn't like a conspicuous clicking noise or like they lit up.
Nope. You're gonna have to step through to see if it works.
A red light started flashing.
Yeah.
If you wait there and I'll proceed forward. If something happens, I have the best chance of avoiding it.
All right.
I will go to proceed to the next set of statues.
Okay. You walk across the threshold with the glyph star at the center. Nothing happens. And you move to the next set of statues. Do you position those as well, then?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay. So you do the cross swords or the shield? I'm assuming the shield, given that.
This is the Guardians one? Yeah, I do the shields.
Okay. You position these with the shields. Star. Same thing as before.
I'll proceed first again.
Okay. Proceed across the glyph. Nothing happens. So you make it to the next two, which these figures, again, not armored, a little different than before, kind of more hunched in their posture. Den, you fly up, begin to... How long does each charge of your fly last for, by the way?
It is, it's 2 hours a day, 30-minute minimum.
Okay, so you probably use a
at
total...
least half an hour.
I'd say, yeah, you're able to do this, and I think less than half an hour.
Yeah. It doesn't stop after half an hour. It just lasts for at least half an hour.
Yeah, you have to use it for at least half an hour. Use it for 31 minutes, then you have to use that second charge.
That's how they get you.
Yeah. So you position these and you move them around. These are pretty hard to move, and you realize that there are joints at the knees as well. And you can get this to move into two different postures. And one is a sort of bowing posture, and another is a kneeling posture.
Is this the priest?
The one you're at right now is priest. The next one you can see a little more clearly now. It is crowned.
Make these ones kneel.
And then the other one's like bowing to the ground?
That's how I see this going.
Yeah.
Any opposed? You didn't sound super convinced.
Well, I could honestly make an argument for the other way, but I think Star's right.
All right. I do that. I'll make them, the priest ones, kneel.
Okay.
Kneel before Todd.
All right. You move the positioning of these into a kneeling position. And Star, you go walking through.
Yeah.
Okay. Star walks, and as he steps out onto the glyph, nothing happens. Logic there, you move on to the next one. Move this one to a bowing position, and are able to, as you move these into the bowing position, you get the last posture, you hear from down the corridor this low sort of rumbling noise.
That may have been a door opening. I think once you're through the door, these will either reset to how they were, or they found a way to get past this.
Let's take a look.
All right. And you all walk across the last threshold, and nothing happens. You've solved my statue puzzle. As you make your way down the hall, this whole thing has sloped down. You're clearly underground at this point. Proceeding down the hall, you do see a set of doors at the end standing open. There's a bit of dust and kind of debris kind of clacking to the ground. And you gather that these have just shifted the source of that rumbling noise you heard. As you walk through those doors, you enter into a large hall. This one, not the same sort of entry walkway leading somewhere, but a massive sort of gathering hall. There are pillars that extend every kind of a square gridded pattern every 50 feet or so, and this whole cavern goes out far into the darkness, farther than any you can see in almost every direction. And there are remnants around of tables and benches and workstations and forges and or smithing sections and benches and grindstones all throughout, as well as the broken remains of what looked to be sort of a mess hall area. And there's this whole gathering community that is spread out in every direction, completely vacated, dark, and desolate. And there is this eerie sort of wind that sweeps through this area, and this low sort of moaning just to the size of this cavern. Or that's a credit to the size of this cavern. And as you all walk through, peering out into the darkness, there is a faint glow ahead of you. And sort of a light greenish turquoise color. And you see the glowing shape of a man that is walking towards you. Giving off this wisp of energy around him. A tall, older-looking elven, as far as you can tell. Elven features. And he looks absent-minded as he is sort of gazing around, and you see him walking in sort of a serpentine pattern. It seems to cut one way and stop for a second, then walk another. You see the side, sort of a large beard, again, spectral in nature. And he seems to be walking around completely oblivious to you at this moment. And I think Arnaran, she's in your head right now, she says to you, Sadao, you hear her whisper, says, It can't be. And with that, you see a bit of white energy, and Arnaran comes sort of rocketing out of Sadao and towards that individual. And you see her sort of hit the ground in that plume of smoke and then reform right next to him. And she sort of stands there, and you see her trying to get this figure's attention.
That's someone you know.
As he sort of walks away, she stands back as you all approach, and she says, I never met him myself. That's Grinlaw. The first of our order. I don't know what he'd be doing here.
I'm gonna go look to the was it him glowing, or was there like a force glowing behind him?
No, he's giving off a glow. Yeah.
I just want to go look around, check out all the forges, the workbenches, everything around us, see if there's anything that's like half made on any of them.
Okay.
Something that's in the process of being built.
Sure. Make an investigation check.
20 total again.
Nice. Yeah, I'd say you find a couple of things actually that are kind of halfway built, and you find a dagger and some other, like the rusted remains of a half forged dagger, or the blade of a dagger, I guess, that wasn't quite finished in the sharpening process. And you kind of toss that aside. And you actually end up focusing on, and you kind of head towards one corner of the massive chamber, actually finding the wall of it. And you find a workstation that is broken and the remnants of a workbench. And there's a mostly intact blade of a longsword that is sitting there. Again, it's mostly done, but hasn't quite finished in the sharpening and the last process of attaching to the pommel and finishing the process of constructing it.
Sado, Arnowen, do you think you could finish this, perhaps? Given what you were originally doing here and who he is, maybe his unfinished work is keeping him bound?
It's certainly possible.
I think Ardaran approaches and she says, I suppose that's as kind of thought of as any. The materials here are sort of out of sorts. I don't know what we could do with this. And do you have anything, Seno?
I do have some smith's tools with me.
That might work. Not as good as having a fully functioning station, but it's something, I guess. So, do you try to finish crafting this blade?
Sure, why not?
All right, make a check with your smith's tools. Say dexterity is probably fine as the modifier.
That's a nat 1.
Shit. That's still what the total on that's still a 14. So I think here's what happens. You actually, I think that's perfect. So you sit down and you begin to you take out your smith's tools, and I think it's been a while since you've actually had to forge anything or create any sort of weaponry. I mean, most of what you're doing is the pieces and stuff aren't blades. I don't think you've forged a sword in probably a long time. Mm-hmm. And you begin to try to take that and to work with it and sharpening the blade and honing the edge. And you were just making a mess of this blade. And I think you hear this sort of exasperated noise coming from the other side of the room, and you hear a voice call out in Sylvan and says, "Boy, what do you think you're doing?" And it comes approaching as the spectral form comes just rushing up to you, and just says, "None that work here can produce work as shoddy as that. Who let you in here?"
Me. I kind of let myself in.
Looks around and says, "Guards! Guards!" And begins to call for some unknown guards in the area, and nobody seems to react.
Grinlaw?
Turns back to you.
Sorry, I don't mean to offend you or mess up your stuff, but I came here for some help.
I can see by that work that you need plenty of it.
Well, it's been a while since I've touched a blade. But we need well, we're trying to protect the people of this land, and we think the best way to do that is to get your help with forging some weapons for us.
The man sort of looks around again, sort of confused looking, and he says, "People of this land have plenty of protection. I don't know why you would need such a thing."
Grinlord, do you know where you are?
The Forge of the Precursors, a gift granted to us by the gods themselves, the most hallowed ground there is in these lands.
Are you aware of what year it is?
I don't understand.
What year is it?
He just looks at you confused.
What actual year is it?
God, you're making me get out a fucking calendar. Give me a second. 2582. God damn it. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head and I cannot remember. Give me 1 second to pull up my calendar. It is.
And that's assuming that they sort of keep track of the years like we do.
Yeah, it's 2353 in Sarthia.
It's 2353, Grinlaw.
Where are you from?
It's from very far away, Sarthia.
Land of blasphemers. Heretics. You seek my aid, coming from such a place. Those that seek to cast down the gods themselves.
I show him the symbol of Aricia that I have.
Mm-hmm.
And I do not wish to cast down the gods, only those that wish harm on innocent lives.
He looks at the symbol and then looks back to you and gives us a more reverent nod and says, I see. So there are some true believers amongst you.
Yes, sir. And we're just a few of them, but we're gathering a great force. And you're kind of our only hope.
Well, if your purpose is noble, then I will grant you the use of our forge for this purpose. But know that you must still prove yourself to take on such a task.
Well, I planned on it.
He points out into the darkness and he says, down the main stairwell. There you will be tested. And if your conviction is true, you may gain the use for your purpose.
Better get to it then.
He looks over all of you and kind of looks at Arnaran again, who is just staring and watching the scene in a mixture of horror and in shock. And he says, then go, all of you. There's work I must do. And he turns...
If I can ask one thing quickly. Have you seen another pair come through here recently? It's actually like me and then one of your kind?
The intruders. They made their way down the stairs not long ago. I sent the guards after them. I assume they'll be dealt with shortly.
They
Good
just
to know.
might be.
Thank you.
Or they'll be dealt with.
He turns away and over his shoulder he says, best of luck and may the blessings of the six be upon you. And as he does, he sort of begins to fade and the light diminishes and he dims and he begins to disappear. And you actually feel, Saddle, a sort of a warmth wash over you. and for that interaction, you actually gain a minor blessing. You get to add a d6 to all skill checks while you are smithing in this forge.
Rock and roll.
All right. Okay, so you have the that blessing, and do you begin to head that direction?
Yeah.
Okay. You all turned in the direction that Grinlor's pointed you. Gather yourselves, and as you reach the edge, the wall at the other edge of this hall, you see a wide stairwell that is leading down further into the forge itself. And there you begin to proceed down that stairwell into the darkness beyond. And it descends down and down and down and down and down. Probably you gather 100, 200 feet or so before finally leveling off. And it's there you come into another sort of antechamber. And it's fairly bare in here, and it's a simple sort of 40 foot by 40 foot square room. And on the other side, you see a set of doors. One of them is partially open. In the center of this room, you see a pedestal. And on that pedestal is an anvil. And standing over the anvil with a hammer in hand, you see a iron construction actually appears. As you can see, it's white iron, cold iron. And it stands there, hammer sort of suspended in air, looking down at the forge. And it's a massive construct, probably 15, almost 20 feet tall. And as you reach the bottom of the stairs, you see this sort of frost come off of it, this mist beginning to form off of it. And then there's this flashing blue glow to the eye as it finishes a swing and hits the anvil beneath it. And as it hits that anvil, there's a concussive blast that shocks through the room, almost knocking you all back for a moment. And then the form with those glowing eyes looks up in your direction and begins to step off the pedestal. And we're going to go ahead and take a break there, and then come back and roll initiative for that. We'll be back in 10 minutes, everyone. Sound good?
Sound good.
All right. Be right back. Welcome back, everyone. Short 10 to 17 minute break. Thank you for bearing with us. So let's get into it. So as this giant creature bears down on you, I'd like everyone to roll initiative. And I will move us to our fight music. Once I get to that page.
Hey, Sean.
Yes.
Can you take a look at what I just rolled for initiative for a second?
I was also confused by it.
Oh.
Huh.
Because you have an advantage on initiative.
Well, no. Well, yeah, that's the second roll.
Yeah, it always does the color. So for anyone out there that's looking at it, it's showing the red natural 1 thing on roll 20, but it's saying 24.
Well, and I'm scrolling over it, and it says 1 plus 19 plus 5.
Yeah, that's the second. The second roll you had was a 19.
Since one of them you rolled a 1, it's showing the red, but it's just showing the red on the first roll. Is that what I'm getting?
Yes. Yeah. If you, no matter what you.
So I rolled, the second roll was the 24.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
When you have the advantage on initiative, it does it weird. It doesn't do it like the.
The modifiers are different though.
Okay. Well, that's why I've been clicking the initiative twice. So I only have to do that once. Okay. I understand.
Yes.
Makes sense. Okay. So I rolled 24, not a nat 1.
Yes.
That is confusing.
Yeah, that was really confusing. Because I was like, I'm sorry, I don't have a 23 to initiative.
All right. So, everybody roll.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you need the tracker up.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I rolled real dice and I rolled worse. So I need to change it. Two of 4.
Darn. All right. Well, I think that's going to start us off with Saddle, then with the 24.
Well, how big is this room that we're in? Because did we just come downstairs and we just came through like an archway, or?
Yeah, you guys are essentially at the archway at the bottom of the stairs. So you got a big stairwell behind you. But in this room, it's, like I said, about like a 40-foot square with about 25, 30-foot ceiling.
Okay, then I am going to... I'm going to flank around to the left side and just kind of clear the doorway and make sure that our the other two can get in there and hit it. And then
Okay.
I'm going to shoot at it, I guess.
Go for it.
How's a 19 do ya?
19 hits.
Cool, then...
Did you want to roll that a third? Or no?
No, because I moved.
You moved. That's right. Okay.
So 15 piercing and 22 thunder damage. Because I rolled a lot. I rolled very well.
I'm just having a look at the resistances. Nope. Okay. So that's 37 points of damage.
Oh, this thing's not going to be very happy. Okay, I use bonus action to reload and also cower in fear.
Yeah, because as Saddle strafes to the side, aims, the thunder cannon goes off, this rocket, and hear this explosion kind of deafening you all for a moment as the tinnitus kicks in. It then slams into the creature as it's standing on the platform, and it almost gets knocked back a bit. Part of the armor kind of caving in to the impact. And the glowing blue eyes from under this jagged helm look up in your direction, Sadel, and this like cloud of vapor comes exuding out from under the helm as it just lets out a snort in your direction. That'll end your turn, though. Star.
Yeah, this is going to be something we're going to regret, but I do it anyway. I'm going to start running towards it. Bonus action. Oh no, actually no, I can't do things that round. Never mind then. I am then instead just going to be casting Shadow Blade.
Okay.
So I can. Then I will strafe around to the opposite side of Sadell, so around to the thing's right, and throw my Shadow Blade at it.
Okay. Make your attack.
That is a 20-something. 26.
26 hits.
Shadow Blade does this much. That is 15 psychic damage.
Okay. 15 psychic damage, and does not seem to have any effect.
No.
The blade hits and scatters off it aimlessly, then reforming in your hand.
No.
I think that's your turn, though. Action, bonus action.
That is my turn.
Okay.
Just looking in shock at this.
What level is your Shadow Blade, by the way?
2.
2. Okay, because what happens next is probably worse. Because as the golem steps forward off the platform, it uses its bonus action. It looks towards you, Star, and your Shadow Blade turns to smoke in your hand, and then is absorbed by the golem as it pulls the magical energy into it. Your Shadow Blade ends, and the golem begins to glow internally from the magical energy that it now has stored. But it's going to save that from later. It's going to then charge straight at Sado and then raise a hand to punch straight at Sado's body. Let's see. First attack. I think that's going to miss. That's a 17.
That misses.
Second attack. That's a 28, so I think that hits you.
Yes, but I'm going to use my plot armor.
Okay.
Make it miss.
To make it miss. Okay. So the first one, you dodge out of the way. The second attack, he goes in with an uppercut with the other fist and slams into Sadell. And as Sadell is hit and crunched, suddenly there's this slow to time, and then everything goes backwards. Sado, you focus for a second, having have that like small insight, and your armor flashes. You then sort of stumble backwards a bit, and the whole fist kind of whoosh right in front of your face. It just barely missing you by inches, just catching like the tip of your nose, and then bam, slams straight into the ceiling. And you look down, the glyphs on your armor sort of glowing for a moment and then fading away. You're muted.
You're still muted.
How are you? I can't unmute you.
There we go. Okay. That was weird. I like accidentally went full screen and like everything went away. It was a mess.
You just look so sad.
I think we did this all for you to say a joke, but please go ahead and do it.
No, I was going to say that because he attacks me, Idar gets an attack.
Yeah. So Didar is going to make an attack too.
Nat 1.
That misses.
I figured.
And Didar goes to bite at it and just kind of like locks on to the side of the metal construct, but unaffected. So
that reverse of time kind of messed him up.
Yeah, it did. All right, that's all I can do. So that ends the golem's turn. It's Didar's turn now.
I guess he'll try again.
Okay. Make another bite attack.
15.
Is not hit. So tries to bite again, but is clamping onto it, but unable to bite through the much harder metal that this construct is made of. Den.
Did I see this thing just totally eat the Shadow Blade?
Yeah, I think
I'm
you did.
still just staring at it in shock, like...
Oh, crap!
Star is doing his best Macaulay Culkin impression.
Yeah.
Oh no. Whoa, it didn't do. I'm gonna run up and hit it.
All right, do it.
Oh no. No. I'm gonna use a... Oh man, I don't even know if this is gonna work. Oh, I'm gonna use my bonus action to do one of my channel divinities, to do Gale's Fury.
Okay.
And then I become wreathed in electricity, and also lightning stuff happens. And then I will run at it and attack it.
Okay.
I actually have a question about that, but I'll ask it after I attack it. 25.
25 hits.
Yes. And I also do 1d8 of something. I have too many abilities. 1d8 of thunder. That is 8 thunder damage on the 8 and 9 bludgeoning damage from the flail.
Nice. All right. Wham! Hits the side of the golem, caving in a section of the metal plating near its abdomen. Solid hit. Bonus action? Or no, you do
That's
your
it.
bonus action.
Yeah,
You do it this
action,
turn.
bonus
Okay.
action movement.
All right. Sadell. This thing is right up in your face.
Yes, it is. Would I know... Would I have any idea? Do I know that this is a golem?
I'd say you make these, so I'd say you're pretty certain that this is some sort of magical construct. Yes.
Okay. Would I know if they have true sight or blind sight?
What I'll give you is typically no. This one can't be 100% certain.
Okay. If that is the case, then I'm gonna take a risk. All right. It is. Hold on, let me read something.
Zadel tells the golem.
Time out. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to cast blur on myself.
Okay.
So if it does rely on sight for attacks, then it has disadvantage against me.
Okay. You gonna move?
No.
Okay.
Actually, yeah, I'm going to blur, and then I'm going to use my shield as a bonus action. So that raises my AC. And then I'm gonna get out of dodge.
Okay. All right. And you go running away. It is going to use this reaction to try to make an attack against you, but it does have disadvantage.
Okay.
Well, that was a 14 and 18, so the total on 26 is going to be the disadvantage.
Yeah, that hits.
Your mega AC. That is going to be 36 points of bludgeoning damage.
All right. I can take it.
Just wham! Is Blur a concentration spell? Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
A concentration check. Chica.
Excuse you?
Chica.
What am I? Where?
Constitution save.
There we go. Yeah. A 16.
No, because if he would have been an 18 is the DC on it. That's right. 36 divided by 2 is 18. Math's right. Yeah. So yeah. You would fail that check. So you do lose the blur. as you run away, but you do get away from it, and you can move your full 30 feet of movement.
Yep.
In the other direction. Okay. That'll end Sadel's turn.
Oh, Didar gets an attack.
He does.
Because it hit me.
Yeah, because Didar's had turn, so he has a reaction.
Attack.
Yes.
He gets his reaction back. Probably not going to hit, but it's worth a try. Nat 20, 26.
Oh, buddy. All
I
right.
shouldn't have said that about him. That is 29 piercing.
Nice. Here's something we've never said, and this is I'm going to make this canon now. You can mark this down because I don't know. Does it ever come up that Didar's attacks become magical at any point?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. We're just going to say they are, because at this point he'd be basically useless if they weren't. Is my thought at this time. You've had enough time to mess with him, because I was about to say that he doesn't do any damage because of that, but that also doesn't really make sense given all the enchanting you've done at this point. So we're gonna have it stand.
Yeah, he is sort of a magical being.
You've constructed him with magic. If you didn't take the time to enchant his teeth to be magical, I don't know what Saddle's doing with his life.
You are absolutely right.
Yeah, so we're just gonna roll forward with that. Okay, so that's Didar's turn. Clamps onto it. The kind of golem wrenches the arm out of Didar's mouth as its quarry gets away. Now turning towards the targets that are surrounding it. Star, is your turn.
Okay. I'm so glad one of my friends is still near it. I'm gonna just run up to it. I don't know if this is a good idea with this spell, but I'm a green flame blade, claw up the backside.
Okay. Make your attack.
That's a nat one on the dice. I am going to spend one of my luck points to roll another one.
Yeah, because you picked up that luck feat.
Yeah.
Dat luck, though.
That is a natural 20.
Well, that is pretty lucky. Make your attack.
Okay.
Damage. That's what I meant.
So 2d6 for claw. Then a lot more d6 in a second. Okay, so that's 5. Plus my dex is another 5. So 10 so far. 20, 30, 40, 45 plus 12, 57.
Okay, stop mathing.
Welcome to
57.
GGK Does Algebra.
All right, 57.
No, just let me double check how much my green flame blade does to the thing that it hits. That's 2d8 plus my spellcasting modifier. Which is 7 plus 3 is 10 points of fire damage on top of that.
So 58 plus 10, so 68 points of damage.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wonder who it's punching next.
Yeah, I wonder. As you leap onto its back, driving your claw in and sort of digging your arm straight into the mechanisms of the creature, then ripping your hand out. It's sort of pulsing with this like magical like fluid that's inside of it that's giving off a glow, whatever sort of powering this internal machinations of this creature, and it lets out this sort of screeching roar from under the helmet, this tinny sound, and then as you leap off of it, it turns towards you, the eyes bursting with this blue fire. All right.
I try to help. I try to tank. I try to make things hit me. You guys laugh in the face of my character.
And as Den is giving this internal, I can't think of the right word, lecture to Star, a fist comes just wheeling out of the air in the direction of the rogue. So it is going to attack you next. Nobody has any magical effects on them right now, except for Den, but that's not gonna work. So,
What?
nothing. It's gonna make an attack at Star. 24.
Yeah, that hits.
Alrighty. Wow, roll shit on the damage. It's 19 points of bludgeoning damage.
I'm taking it just in case it gets more attacks, which I'm pretty sure it might.
Might. Second attack. I guess. Man, it really wants to attack. I'm debating because Den, you are right there.
He takes damage. I forgot.
Oh yeah, it does. It's a dexterity saving throw, or it takes.
No, he just.
Oh, he just takes damage.
Just takes it. It is. Sorry, I forgot. Till right now, 6.
6.
Oh, lightnings.
Lightning. Okay. All right, it's gonna make its second attack at Den, because you are right there.
Zap.
That's a 30, so that's gonna hit you.
Let me check. Yeah, that hits.
28 bludgeoning damage.
Holy.
And then there is a pulse as that blue aura that is in its chest glows, and then there's the shockwave that emits from the creature again. I need Didar, Star, and Den to make dexterity saving throws.
Didar makes a 20.
14.
Okay.
22.
Okay, so 2 successes. So you take nothing, Star. Didar takes half. Then you take the full amount, which actually you might have immunity to this. That is 16 points of lightning damage. Do you have any resistances to lightning damage?
I don't think so.
I don't think you do. I'm not sure. I'm not going to remember.
Cold damage. Let me check my.
But Star and R take half, so 8.
Yeah, 8 damage to. Or Star takes none.
But Didar takes
And
half.
Didar takes half. Yeah, so that's 8.
No, I don't. What was the number again?
16
Okay.
lightning damage. Also, you are blinded until the end of the golem's next turn. Didar's turn.
He's gonna bite it, I guess.
All right.
8. Probably
That's-
not.
That's a miss. Just gnawing at the metal plating of this creature, which isn't looking great right now, I should also mention, given the just hits that he took. They took gender neutral golem earlier in the fight. Not looking too good. So Didar tries to bite unsuccessfully. Den, blind. You are aware that this creature is still in front of you, though. What would you like to do?
Panic?
You successfully panic.
Okay. Do I have to roll for panicking?
No, I'll give you panic as a free action.
Savannah doesn't know how Den would react to being blind.
Swing wildly.
Maybe. Oh, man, that was a whole lot of big hits, though. Hold on, I've never had to read my spells. Oh yeah, that you can see. Good. I swing wildly.
Okay, go ahead and make an attack roll disadvantage.
I'm gonna not roll that die. It hurt my feelings. Oh. 14?
Nope. Just
I can make an attack as a bonus action.
you can.
Oh, that's way better. I rolled a 12. So
I'm imagining in her head right now. It's just Seraphine, take the wheel.
It is 23.
That hits.
Excellent.
Take it from my hands.
Yep. It's just like that. Oh crap. Man, that's so bad. 10 bludgeoning damage and 3 thunder damage.
So 13 points of damage.
Yep.
That's not that bad for a single hit.
Well, it's pretty bad for me.
From the blind cleric. All right.
It's pretty bad.
That ends Den's turn. Saddle, is your turn, and you are safely out of range of this creature.
Good. I'm gonna stand still and shoot at it.
Make your attack, buddy.
21.
You have advantage if you're standing still.
Oh, I do have advantage. Just kidding. 30.
Do you want to roll again just to see if you get a natural 20?
It might as well, yeah. Is it just on? It is on every advantage. So
yeah. In case anyone out there isn't aware, Dylan took the Elven accuracy feat. What's it called? Elven accuracy?
Elven accuracy.
Yeah. And now anytime he has advantage, which he can do as long as he doesn't move on a turn, can roll again just to see if he hits. So it gets to roll 3 times.
Yeah, so I brought that 21 up to a 27, but I'll take the 30 just to be safe.
You sure? You sure you want to take the 30?
Yeah, I'll take the 30.
That hits.
16 piercing, 20 thunder.
So 36 points of damage.
Yes. I don't know why. Yes.
That hits. You shoot at the golem from across the room, streaking through the air, impacts the back of it, knocking off a section of the plating from the back, exposing kind of the mechanisms underneath, these whirring gears, kind of lubricated by this blue fluid, these valves and tubes running through the interior of the body, and you see the kind of internal machinations of it, not too dissimilar from Didar. But this thing is looking rough, it's beginning to fall apart as it takes that hit. Damn. Okay. So that ends Saddle's turn, I assume. Bonus action reload. All right. Star, what would you like to do?
I'm gonna hit it in the back with my claw again. Green flame blade it because why not?
All right.
11 plus 9, that is 19.
19 hits. Yes.
Dice. Yeah. So still got Den's still right next to it as well, isn't she?
Den and Didar are right next to it. Yeah.
Cool. And then yeah. Oh. It helps if I don't throw my dice all over the floor as well.
Typically.
20. That is 20. I may do so much damage. That is 32 piercing.
Ooh.
Or slashing from the claw, whatever that does. And that time it's only 8 fire.
8 fire. Oh, man. These are some heavy hits you guys are leveling against this thing. You reach up, you crawling up its back. You then slice downwards and then drag your claws up, wrenching out another series of the plates out of its back, sort of exposing a large section of it. And the creature kind of rips backwards, throwing its shoulders or its elbows towards you in a flailing motion, trying to rip you off of it. And you kind of leap to the side, having dealt your damage. This glowing blue liquid sort of pooling across the floor now. Wow. Okay. I guess that puts it to its turn. How much I can do here except for attack, so it's gonna make 2 more attacks then. Just flailing wildly is gonna make 1 attack against Den, which, let me double check, but I think you're blind till the end of its turn. Yeah, so it's gonna attack against you with advantage.
He takes lightning damage though.
Does. So that's another 6 points of damage.
6.
All right. And then it's gonna return the favor.
I can't wait for the day that lightning damage actually kills something.
Wow, that's real bad. 22 to hit.
Oh yeah, that's. I think my AC is 21. Yep.
It's 25 points of bludgeoning damage. And then it's going to try to swing at Star again. Does not like you. Nope, that's going to be a 14. So, yeah, it throws another elbow back towards you. Just whoosh,
Can't touch this.
Yeah, dodge backwards. MC hammer it back and forth in your parachute pants, which now Star has in canon. That ends the golem's turn as it is just, again, flailing wildly at this point, animalistically. Didar, I was about to say, Didar, what do you want to do? What does Didar do?
He bites.
All right, make his attack.
21.
21, that hits.
10 piercing.
How does Didar want to kill this thing?
Man, he'd be pretty upset with that hit I took earlier, so he'd go all out. He'd go for the throat.
Yeah. Okay. So here's, I think, what happens. Didar lunges out, kind of rearing back a bit, leveraging some momentum, and then lashing out like a whip with the with his head. Grabs at the throat of the golem, pulls it backwards off balance, and then rips it forward to the ground. The golem whoosh, falling face forward on the ground, and then Didar, seeing the exposed gears on the back, head lunges down, grabbing a large section of the gears and the tubes and the wiring in, and then ripping out the internal mechanisms of this creature like a beating heart from inside of it. And you see the twitching and the wiring and the pooling of the liquid, and then the sparking of the internal energy as there is a sort of small explosion, and the golem's hands flailing outwards slowly begin to stop and lock into place as the creature dies.
Attaboy, Didar.
Didar gives a plesiosaurus thumbs up in your direction.
Nice.
Does he
I get
have
the feeling.
thumbs?
No. I think a small robotic hand kind of comes out of a panel and then thumbs.
Get the feeling, then just rubs her eyes and it's like, oh, it's dead.
She's still she's like still swinging. Oh.
Is it gone? Can I see?
No, it ended. I think it ended at the end of the golem's turn. So right as Didar went in for the killing blow, you saw that happen.
Oh. Dad's very upset right now.
I also I want to point out the great teammate that I am. I realized that after her blindness has been cured, I realized that I could have cured it with lesser restoration.
You got to do that damage though.
Which he told me in the chat. He was I could have done that, but...
But shoot. I'm just doing so much more damage than you, and...
I mean, I guess by the time I got to you, it probably would have been over anyway, but... Oh well.
Awkward silence.
Anyway, now what?
Ow.
There's a doorway on the other side of the room.
Do we want to take a second and...
Well...
heal up if you need to.
Ow.
Yeah, let's take a minute and...
Actually prepared a spell I've never used before. Ever. But how many minutes is it? 10. I can do a prayer of healing. Which is 10 minutes, and heal everybody many d8s.
Sounds good.
Shorter than a short rest?
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to do that. I'll cast Prayer of Healing at... How many spell slots do I have? 4th level.
Okay. Was that 48?
So 4d8s.
Nice. to everyone.
To everyone.
Including the golem. Just kidding.
Roll good, please. Oh, that's good. 27.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. 27 points of heal juice to all of you.
I'm back up to max. Yeah.
I'm not.
I'm not either, but it's okay. I'm almost there.
It's okay.
Oh, good.
You've probably got more hit points than I do.
That is.
I took a whole lot of damage.
All right. You can do any additional healing to yourself, then, or are you good?
No, I'm good.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, you do almost have more health than him at 2/3. That is funny. Okay. So, I have the door across the room. You guys want to continue onward? Yes.
Might as well.
Okay. So, the door across the room is, as I said before, partially open. You see some sort of locking mechanism across its face, a series of gears and wheels and levers across it, and it has been disengaged and is now currently open enough that all of you can proceed through. And as you open it, you proceed out into another grand hall. This one, similar to the one where you encountered Grinlor, is wide with tall pillars extending, except it is as tall as the other one was wide. And this massive, just cavernous space all around you. And the walls themselves are inlaid with gold and silver and platinum, and it's just this glistening, beautiful interior, though it is dark, dim in here. No internal lighting, no torches to illuminate this grand structure, and it lies cold. And at the center of this room, you see the forge. The series of tubing and mechanisms that form the bellows off towards the center, the large anvil that stands before it on a small platform. You see the glistening black iron of tools used to work these various materials, all hanging from racks, perfectly preserved throughout its interior. Again, cold. And standing before the forge, and you see a few you kind of hear some muttering. You see two figures in dark, hooded clothing, having a hushed conversation. You see Ice and Rishkar.
I am looking at my friends like, I'm gonna get him if you don't say something.
I just hold my finger up to 10, sort of just to give me a minute. And just shout down the hallway. You know, I didn't think you'd run away from me twice. It doesn't set a precedent here.
There's sort of a flinch, and you see one of the figures lower their hood, and you see your father, the tattooed sides of his head, turn towards you with sort of a grimace. I heard the commotion back there. I wasn't sure what the golem was fighting, but I had my suspicions. I suppose it's too late to say sorry for any of this.
Just a little bit, yes.
I train my thunder cannon on him.
I am behind Star, like swinging the flail around.
Yeah. And I did not mean to make a Justin Bieber reference in there, and now that song's stuck in my head.
Is it too late now to say sorry?
We're not going to the next line because this is a father-son relationship.
Cause
Here.
I'm.
No, we're done. Stop. I will stop this stream. He sees the obvious sort of hostile posturing of your friends and just says, "It doesn't matter anyway. It was all for nothing." And Rishgar, also lowering his hood, looking back, and says, "I suppose we're all too late. This forge has been dead for some time now. I wouldn't even know the first thing to do to repair it, so..." Looks to Ice, and Ice kind of continues walking towards all of you and says, "Star, I can explain. I didn't want to put you in any danger. I've done enough putting you down this path. This is..."
You never put me down this path. As a child, I was told to run and hide every single time the Queen's men came to look for me. I wasn't taught to use a blade to hunt. It was in case they found me.
And you wouldn't have had to do any of that if it hadn't been for me. I was coming to end what I had unknowingly started. I still...
this too. But we can do this together. More of us. A better force, a better chance. I knew when I left home to do whatever it could lead me coming here to do this. And I'm determined to see an end to it. To children being kidnapped and brought to a strange city.
I understand you want your part in this, and you have done more. You are more competent than I. You and your friends are powerful, and I have no doubt that you could accomplish this, but I fear this is a one-way trip. The queens of night and magic, the queen of witches, they are powerful beyond understanding, and killing them can be done with these weapons. And he sort of pats the blade at his side, but he says, "But I still fear it is a one-way trip. And it's not a path I wish to see you go down."
Then, Saddle, how many one-way trips have we taken before when regards to killing insanely powerful creatures? Can you remember?
Well, we've been told about a lot of countless trips, but here we still are.
There was the mountain jumper. Oh, that was a long time ago. There was that death knight in the castle.
Oh, I don't know. That damn kraken?
There was a kraken.
You really don't know your son.
I don't think you know anything. Except your arrogance.
I do want to say, 'cause frankly, I don't give a shit about you anymore. If my father ever acted like you, I would have disowned him a long time ago. Now, we didn't always have the best relationship growing up, but this is just absolutely despicable, Ice. You should be ashamed of yourself.
And I think I can speak for this. Because I did disown my father. And he me. Because he didn't believe in me. And he thought to put me in my place. But here I am now. And here's your son. One of the best of all of us.
Twice the man you'll ever be.
And I've half a mind to put a blade through you. And for any other man I would. And the only reason I don't is because of the respect and love I have for your son.
Rishkar is just sort of awkwardly like taking a few steps away from Ice at this point.
And I point at him and I say, don't think you're out of this either. Because we've got some words for you too. But we've got some shit to handle right now. So we better make this quick and we're going to move along.
He says, fair enough. I'll just sit here then. Sort of sits down on one of the benches. And Ice, standing there awkwardly, kind of fidgeting and looking at the ground, looks up. And you can see the sort of like emotion behind his face and the tears whelming the corner of his eyes. And he says, he looks down at his hands and he says, I have more blood on these hands than I can admit. I need to do one good thing with my life. I just didn't want to see my son in any more danger. Perhaps what I did was the wrong choice. And I should have trusted. He takes he kind of unhooks his belt, the blade on it, and holds it out towards you and says, I don't deserve this anymore.
I go and take it.
Says, this is your path to walk, not mine. My sins were passed on to you now. I won't ask for your forgiveness because I do not deserve it. I only wish that I had been successful enough to get here before this all fell to ruins. If there was another way.
It's a good thing we did our research properly because we might be able to find something. Aaron, when?
The Arnoran comes out of saddle, and Rishkar sort of almost falls backwards off the bench, and she looks around and hovers up to the forge and begins inspecting it. She says, it is severely damaged, but Saddle, I think you can repair this. She looks back towards you, sort of hovers up. She says, will you try?
Absolutely. Anything it takes.
I will help you. And she kind of glides back into you, and Ice, again, he makes eye contact with you for a second, Star, and then looks away, embarrassed, and then reaches into his pocket and also hands you the portable hole and says, I hope you're right. I should have had more faith in all of you. He looks over to Den and says, whatever judgment you have for me, I gladly accept it.
Luckily, I don't care about your opinion. Sit down.
Rishkar kind of scoots over and just like pats the bench, and Ice goes walking and sits down at the bench and just sort of puts his head in his hands.
I look at Star. What does he look like?
Definitely shaking a little bit with all this. The short sword is still just sort of holding the scabbard clutched down at his side. Definitely sort of lost in himself right now.
I go over to him, just real quick. Star.
Yeah.
You are more the man than your father ever dreamed you could be. We have to help Sardell right now. I need you to focus.
We've got this. Let's see, if he's going to get this repaired, we probably need another fire going somewhere just to provide some light and so he can see what's going on properly. Can you get started on that? I'll see if he needs me to get anywhere else for him.
All right.
Okay. So, Saddle, you approach this giant piece of machinery, and this is unlike any forge you've seen before. There are mechanisms to it, too complicated for most to understand or comprehend, and you begin looking at it. So, there are going to be 2 checks here. First going to be the check to understand the problem. The next one is going to be the check to fix it. Arnaran can give you advantage on the check to understand the problem, but you will be fixing it on your own, and anything you guys can do to help.
Can I cast Enhance Ability?
You can.
Do I have any knowledge of the ability?
Again, some meta knowledge here with the way that the spell works. So Arnaran's going to be able to enhance his intelligence to understand and to check there. So she'll give him advantage on intelligence-based checks. The other one would be dexterity to craft and to fix it.
That was going to be my first guess.
Okay.
Okay,
So, yeah.
I'll do Enhance Ability and do Cat's Grace again for Saddle.
All right. So, Saddle, I will need you to make a check with your blacksmith tools, but using intelligence on your first one. You have advantage, and you also get the +6 to that has been granted you for Grinlor.
Right.
$20 is exactly what you needed past the first check. So you take the time to look at it. You can fix this, and you look and you see the pieces that are out of order, the damage that has been done to this thing, and it looks like there's damage to it. Like multiple people probably have taken weapons to this machine, and in an attempt to render it inoperable. And you look at it and you get an idea of what you can do to fix this machine, so you do have that accurate understanding of it. Now you have to attempt to fix it. You have Den helping you, have Star helping you, so you get that advantage on it, and then you get the +6 on top of that. So I make a Smith's tool with dexterity.
And what is the enhance ability giving me?
That's advantage. So you're
giving me the advantage.
You've got advantage on it, and then a +6.
34.
34 is exactly what. No, you needed much less than the 34. Jeez. All right. Well, there goes the tension. All right. So I'd say you enlist Star's help a bit, because he's able to climb onto the machine. It's a large construct, and he's able to get up there with tools and fix things in an easy way. I would have said that probably would have lowered the DC a bit on this, but again, unless I had set the DC at a 40, I think you're okay. And you begin to fix the machine, and you spend the next couple of hours doing this. working at it, getting the pieces. There are bits of metal that are beyond destroyed, and you actually can harvest some from the golem, and you begin to repair some of it that way. And you spend some time working on this. Rishgar and Ice, again, just sort of watching and hoping, without much they can contribute to the situation. And at the end of those few hours, you finally get to the point where everything you think is broken is fixed. And you look at it, and Arnaran sort of glides out of you for a moment, and she says, as she looks at the machine, and she looks back to you and says, "May I?"
It'd be my pleasure.
And she floats up to it, and she puts her hand on this panel towards the base. And as she does, you see glyphs begin to light, and they trace out all across in this spiderweb pattern, circling and spinning and extending out to either side, up the tubing and around the pillars and the pistons and the gears, and the whole thing lights up in this vibrant crystal blue. This azure glow begins to illuminate the room almost in its entirety, all darkness cast out for a moment, and then you see the gears begin to turn, the pistons begin to pump, and then there's this roar of blue flame from the interior as the construct comes to life, and the machine is functioning. And I'll just say, to step out from here, it's working now. Like you've got this thing to work, and you can use it as much as you. If you had failed to a lesser extent, I was going to limit the amount of things you were going to be able to make. But now, fuck it. You guys have as much ore. You guys have the ore you need. You can just craft. Yes. Dead.
What did we do with Lilibet and Tova?
They're in your backpack somewhere.
Okay, when that's what I wanted to know. When the whole like blue light beautiful thing happens, I just take them out.
So they can see it.
So they can see, because it's blue light, and I feel like it looks a lot like moonlight, and they would like it.
Okay.
I don't know, they're toads, but they're also my friends.
Yeah, they just look at it and they just.
I hope you guys remember this.
They look pleased.
Okay. That's all I wanted.
All right. And you now have access to the Forge of the Precursors, and I've got a handout for you. As Sato, you now understand, just innately, as Arnaran begins to explain to you in detail, what you can do with this forge. And I'll go ahead and read the first part, and then you guys can talk about the next part of it. This ancient forge sparks and sputters as it consumes the energy of creation. Ruins of a forgotten language burn an eldritch fire along its edges. The battalions of the Titans could be provisioned by such a construct, but its power and ancient mysteries are now held in your hands. So, you guys have 10 units of the cold iron, and you can expend those. And this is fast. This is you can crank out magic items with this forge. You can expend 1 unit to do, and this I don't have written on there, so I'm going to say 1 unit to do 20 pieces of ammunition. Again, you guys have 10. 1 unit to do 2 daggers or other light weapons. So essentially half a unit per dagger. 1 unit equals 1 longsword, war hammer, etc. Normal weight weapon. 2 units to do a maul, greatsword, something bigger. For armor, 1 unit studded leather armor. 2 units medium armor. 3 units heavy armor. No, and also, you guys going to talk about this, decide what you want to do. You guys can talk out of character and stuff like that. We'll probably be calling the session shortly after this and let you guys. We can role play out some other stuff with Ice and Rishkar if you want. But you guys decide what you want to do, and then I'll work with the other two about their stuff too. But I can almost guarantee, I would just bet my bottom dollar that Lil's gonna want armor. So just gonna put that out there.
I am unstrapping the claw.
Okay. You want a new claw made from this?
Oh yeah.
Okay. I'd say you could do that for one unit. Essentially, I think that would be more so like exchanging the plating or the weapon aspects of the claw, like essentially you're removing the fingers and then replacing those the actual like claws themselves with the enchanted. So yeah, that works too. Cutting out the extra bit of having to enchant the entirety. So yeah, you can do that. So that's one of the. So essentially, if you're doing that, you have 9 units left to do the rest.
I mean, I need to make some ammo.
Okay.
So I'm gonna do that.
So you could expend 1 unit, make 20 rounds. Assuming these are the god-killing bullets.
Yeah.
You could do some
Colt.
You could do some awesome things for 20 ammunition, or if you guys have extra that you guys don't end up spending, you could do more than that. You do the whole thing and just give Saddle 100 rounds. No, it'd be more than that. 200 rounds of ammunition.
We'll stick with 20 for right now. I don't want to do so. But I definitely just killed it. The God Killers.
And I'll explain to the chat because I think they want to probably hear what this is. So, because I'm kind of being a bit of a tease there. So, essentially, you can choose one piece of armor or weapon described in the player's handbook, or one you work out with the DM with like the claws, which I think is acceptable because we've created this already. And you can spend quantity of cold iron ore necessary to craft the item. You can choose up to, when you craft it, up to 4 effects to apply. Each effect can be compounded up to 3 times as described below. The effects, there are 3 of them. You can either grant a +1 to attack or damage rolls, or +1 to AC if it's armor. Again, up to 3 times. So you get up to a +3 weapon or a +3 armor. Or you can also imbue 1d4 of a chosen damage type. You increase the size of the damage die by 1 for each time this is chosen. So I think you could do up to a d8 extra damage if you went 3 effects on that one. Or resistance to an elemental damage type if it's armor. You do it twice, you gain invulnerability 3 times, and you gain regeneration. So effectively what that means is if you choose it 3 times, you could heal from that damage type. You choose fire, you put 3 of those effects in. You now heal the amount of fire damage you take. Again, elemental damage types. Not going to do bludgeoning. You don't heal from slashing damage or anything. And the last one is you can gain a special weapon quality. Reach, thrown, returning, which is as it sounds. So if you throw the weapon, it returns to you. Explosive, which is an exploding dice feature. Sentient is the last one. Or you gain special armor quality, Dawn, Doff, Silence, which would be, or Quick Dawn Doff, which putting it on in faster, you reduce it by 1 tier. Or actually, no, you do it as an action. You can take on and off your armor as an action. Silenced, reduce any sort of stealth detriment you might have. Backlash, they take added damage when they hit you with an attack. Again, we'd work out the effects of that. Adamantine, which negates crits. And then hover, which essentially gives you a hover speed. So, Star wants the gloves or the claws. Saddle, you want your ammo. Den, any idea what you want to make?
I mean, probably armor.
Probably armor.
Yeah.
Didn't know if you wanted a new exploding weapon.
Well, that was also a thought that I had.
Yeah. But we'll work out the deals. So what I want to go ahead and do is let you guys think about this, and we'll talk about this a bit off screen. Are there any other scenes you guys want to have with the people here as you're beginning to forge? I say Saddle is just working away at the forge now as the room is beginning to heat up, ice and frost beginning to melt as he's beginning to craft these weaponry. Yes, ice just begins to melt. Standing on the or sitting there on the bench.
There is something I'd like to have with I sort of while we're all working quickly.
Sure. Yeah.
While we're getting on, I just gently toss his short sword back to him.
Okay. He catches it.
You're still fighting with us. You want to see this through? No? I said earlier the more of us there are, the better chances of success.
He looks at the sword. Once we start this, I don't know what is going to happen. There's something I don't know if you understand, but the power that I have, it was given to me by her, by the Queen. I wanted to do this myself because I don't know what will happen when I try to face her myself. I'm afraid.
Hopefully all should be able to do is turn the power you have off. In which case I hope you're as good through the blade as I am.
I hope so. He holds the blade out and kind of the pommel towards you and says, if not, if she turns me against you, will you do what is necessary?
I just take the pommel of the blade and say, I will.
Good. He pulls it back unless you continue to hold on to it, and begins to clamp it back onto his, or fasten it back to his waist and says, if you'll let me, I'm going to see if there are any more supplies we can scavenge from this place before we leave. He looks over towards Dan, your other friends, and says, you all have this in hand. You don't need me for anything. I'm not leaving again. I promise. I'm here till the end. And he finishes fastening the belt, and he heads out back towards where the golem was, beginning to sort of scavenge around. And Rishkar is sitting awkwardly there and says, so, things going well with Dad then? Do you all still have that mirror?
Don't talk while I'm trying to work. It distracts me.
If you, as soon as we get our ship back, yeah, if you need to go find your old room again, if you left something in there.
No, I've moved on to bigger and better things, I think. Just curious. I suppose I'll go help then, so I don't cause any distractions. And he goes to loot around too. All right. So as Saddle is furiously pounding away the forge, yes, Dan?
Star,
Yeah.
you know you can't trust him.
I know. We're getting the first step of what we need, though. Unfortunately, I'm pretty sure he's our best way in to deal with one of the queens.
But you think he's going to be able to convince her?
Oh no, he's how we're getting anywhere near her in the first place. As far as I'm concerned, the queens themselves both think this is another game they can play. They're not concerned about where the pieces go, they just think they have the upper hand no matter what. She's aware of what we're doing, definitely, especially if Ice is still with us, but I have a few ideas I need to finish putting together to how we can get a jump as soon as things turn. Being ready for an extra attack, having something prepared just to throw things off for a moment so we can have the chaos and confusion we normally do so well in.
You planning
I'm
on
not
sharing?
letting...
You planning on sharing
Sorry.
these ideas with the rest of us?
So far, it's just a case of making a big, loud distraction and hoping for the best. We have the weapons now, which is the big plus. The second they know we can use these weapons efficiently, that's when they're going to turn. We're going to face opposition no matter where we go, but at the minute and in anywhere is a good one. We need to get inside the palace. That's goal number one. I don't think we'll do that just with the Bear King's army.
I'll have to ask you this. Do you trust me?
I do. I know you've got my back, Dan, and I know that if you think anything's fishy, you'll act on it immediately.
When you're around your dad, you say some things that don't sound like you. And I want you to look me in the face and say that if you have to make a choice, who are you going to choose? We're going into something that's as arrogant as we are, bigger than all of us. And
I'll
when it
choose
comes
you.
to...
Overall, he's not my dad. He didn't raise me or do anything for me. Finding him was a shock. I thought I'd find a connection, something, but there isn't one, and when this is done, we can just leave him to run off wherever he wants to next, I guess.
You know I have to ask. Whatever I do and whatever ridiculous or rude or bitchiness you think it is, I do it to protect you.
I know. And thank you, and I'm sorry for before. Just scared of losing everything here.
I know. But I've got you back. Can't be that bad. We should be quiet, Sadov's gonna yell at us.
All right. And as the sound of the pistons and hammers clanking, the gears and grinding, and the rush, the steam coming from the bellows, Saddle continues his work, and we will see the constructions that arise from the mad mind of the half-elf artificer in the next session of Survivors No, sorry, I'm getting really dramatic there. Yes, we will go ahead and end our session there, and we will discuss what it is that you're all going to make with that and reveal the broken and ridiculous weapons that you guys come up with in our next session. Thank you everyone for watching. Really appreciate it. Doing again a shorter session here today, less people. You guys got a lot done, and I definitely want to have I definitely at least want to have Morgan back next week so we can get her items. I need to work out with her and Sarah what it is that they want for Christmas.
You weren't expecting us to take the golem down in what, 4 rounds? 3?
Yeah, no, I mean, I pretty much was. This session went, I think, exactly how long I expected it to. So that worked pretty well. And yeah, you guys murdered that thing. Left myself like a 30-minute buffer there in case that.
Didor!
Yeah,
no, it was
my
great.
boy Didar.
Yeah,
I'm so proud of him.
Yeah. So anyway, thank you for watching. Really appreciate it. We will be back next week, for reals, for our next session. In the meantime, check out Wild Space on Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time here on twitch.tv/GameKnights, where we will be continuing fighting some sort of demon thing. We'll see.
Lindsay's grandma.
Yeah, we'll be fighting Lindsay's grandma on a dying star. As far as we'll be back next Saturday, and then a week and a half from now, the next session of Tideball. If you've missed anything and you want to catch up on it, head over to our youtube.com/GGameKnights, where you can check out all of the fantastic shows that you might have missed along the way. We had a recent one-shot, Thomas Must Die, run by our very own Ryan. Was a thrill to be a part of. You should definitely check that out. Lots of great stuff, lots of good things to watch and listen to. You should definitely get caught up on all of that. In the meantime, we'll be back and we'll be doing some video game streaming, I'm sure, later this weekend or tonight. But until next time, thank you all for watching, and good game, and good night, Internet.
Good night,
Good
Internet.
night, Internet.